Hey everyone, this is Sophie Opp, and this is Breaking News at Caneland. On March 18th, all members of the Caneland School Board were present for a special meeting regarding the Return to Learn plan. Per usual, the Pledge of Allegiance and roll call were taken care of first. The board meeting then moved straight to public comments, and there were 15 people that signed up to speak. Many of these public comments came from parents, however, 2 speakers were actually high school students. The majority of the comments were concerned with the lack of preparation and feelings of disregard from the board.
To represent the needs and desires of the community in educational matters. And I have to say, I feel that you failed all of us. I feel that you have disrespected us, you've mocked us, demoralized us. You've turned away, ignored us, walked away, didn't respond to email.
Another big topic of discussion was the recent survey that was sent to parents for the district. Many people thought it was unclear and only furthered their concern and frustration. After all questions and comments were concluded, Superintendent Todd Layden introduced Director of Educational Services K-5, Dr. Sarah Mumm, to speak about the Return to Learn plan. First, Mumm reviewed the survey results, which showed that most parents of elementary, middle, and high school students wanted to go back to full in-person. Mumm addressed the parents that had earlier expressed their confusion with the survey.
Ideally, we always love to share surveys with every detail already pre-planned, but so many of those details were dependent upon the number of families that would switch back to full remote into full in-person, and so we needed the perception of the families in order to develop and fine-tune the details of the plan.
This led to the plan proposal for early childhood through 5th grade. The plan is to return to full in-person learning 5 days a week. The main points mentioned were new special education teachers and monitors would be needed, there would be possible shifts in special education schedules, lunches would be held in gyms, and exploratory teachers may need to teach other subjects aside from their own. When elementary schools return, one of the biggest focal points will be mental health and wellness. Mumm predicts that 40 students will have to undergo teacher changes, which is of course not preferred but will be necessary. Staff changes, moving, preparation, and personal protective equipment will cost the district about $59,820, which may partially be relieved by state and federal grants. After lots of discussion, Director of Educational Services 6 through 12, Patrick Rowley, was called up to speak about the middle and high school plans. The recommendations for these schools are 6 feet apart when masks are removed, 50 or less students on buses, 28 students staying 3 feet apart per room at Harder, 22 to 26 students per room at KHS. Self-certification is still required, and Wednesday half-days will remain. The plan is to return to full in-person learning with a shortened day modified schedule. This schedule will consist of 5 days with 30-minute class periods, making the school day last from 7:25 a.m. to 12:20. Teacher office hours would be from 1:40 to 2:40. The reason for this structure is limited space for lunch. This also means students would not be allowed to eat while at school. Lockers will also not be in use. Approximately 8 students will need to change their schedules, and 29 will have new teachers but keep the same schedule. The biggest concern brought up from the board was holding the students in school for 6 hours without eating. Unfortunately, there would be no compromise for this issue. The board was finally ready to move on to the plan proposal for high school. The administration prepared 2 options to present. Option 1 was to keep the hybrid schedule. Option 2 was to return to full in-person learning 5 days a week. With the first option, there would be no changes to the schedules, teachers, lunches, or Wednesday schedules. However, with the second option, there would be many impacts. For one, between 40 and 70 students per period would have to change schedules, and 9.2 full-time employees would need to be hired. STEM students would possibly lose credits, which could affect graduation requirements.
Every single student, we're looking at probably a worst case scenario or a most impactful scenario of over 400 classes that would be impacted.
Choir and band classes would also be heavily impacted because there is not enough space for teachers and a 6-foot distance between those without masks. Transportation would face problems as well, resulting in a large fee. In total, the return to full-person learning would be anywhere between $91,290 to $169,850 for staff and transportation. The administration summarized all the information that had just been presented, as well as general estimates as to how long these changes would take. As there was time for the board to ask questions and make final comments, board member Aaron Lawler mentioned his dissatisfaction with the elementary and middle school plans.
I just don't think this plan gets us there in the best way. And I specifically, if we're going to go to that middle school level, I think it does, there's a lot of problems that we're creating at that level that we should be alleviating before. Like, there should be an option 2 for the middle school.
The end of the meeting was approaching, and it was time for the board's final say on the return to learn plan. Everyone was in agreement that the EC through 5th grade will return to full in-person learning 5 days a week. The plan for the middle school is to return to full in-person 5 days a week with a modified schedule, which was rejected by Lawler but accepted by the rest of the board. Finally, everyone was in agreement that the best plan for the high school is to stay in the current hybrid schedule. The meeting was concluded with 4 public comments concerning planning methods for the next school year and adjournment. Thanks for listening, and make sure to tune in next time for more breaking news.